You're throwing away everything we built for you." My father's voice echoed through our family's Manhattan penthouse, sharp with disappointment. "A farmer? Have you lost your mind, Alexander?" I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the city sprawl below. Behind me, my entire family had gathered for what they thought would be a celebration of my acceptance to Harvard Business School. Instead, I had just announced my decision to pursue sustainable agriculture. "I'm not throwing anything away," I said quietly. "I'm choosing a different path." My sister Olivia laughed from her perch on our mother's expensive Italian sofa. "Different? That's one way to put it. You want to play in the dirt while the rest of us run global corporations." The Blackwood name had been synonymous with Wall Street success for 3 generations. My grandfather had built an investment empire, my father had doubled it, and my sister was already making waves as a youngest partner at Goldman Sachs. And then there was me, the Harvard graduate who wanted to revolutionize farming. "This isn't just about farming," I tried to explain, turning to face them. "It's about developing sustainable agricultural technologies that could help solve global food security issues. I've been working on innovative hydroponic systems that cold." "Enough." My father slammed his hand on his mahogany desk. "No son of mine is going to become a farmer. Either you accept your place at Harvard Business School or you're on your own." My mother, elegant in her Channel suit, stepped forward. "Alexander, darling, be reasonable. You have a trust fund waiting for you, connections in every major financial institution. Why would you want to throw that away to grow vegetables?" I pulled out my tablet and opened the presentation I prepared. "Look at these projections. The world's population is growing, but our arable land is shrinking. Traditional farming methods won't be enough. My hydroponic systems could revolutionize urban agriculture. We could grow food anywhere, using 90% less water, producing higher yields." "Oh, stop it with your plants and water systems," Olivia interrupted, rolling her eyes. "You sound ridiculous. Just admit you're having some sort of quarter-life crisis and get over it." My father stood up, straightening his custom-made suit. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to call Harvard tomorrow, accept your place in the business school, and we'll pretend this foolish farming notion never happened." I took a deep breath. No. The silence that followed was deafening. "What did you say?" My father's voice had dropped to a dangerous whisper. "I said no. I'm not going to Harvard Business School. I'm going to pursue my vision for sustainable agriculture." My father's face turned red. "Then get out. Don't expect a penny from this family. Your trust fund, your allowance, your apartment, it's all gone. Go play in the dirt if that's what you want, but you're no longer a Blackwood." I had expected this reaction, but it still hurt. I looked at my mother, who turned away, at Olivia, who smirked, at my father, whose face was set in stone. "Goodbye, then," I said quietly, walking toward the elevator. As the doors closed, I heard Olivia's mocking voice. "Have fun being poor." That was 5 years ago. I left the penthouse that day with nothing but my savings from my summer internships, about $50,000 I'd kept in a separate account. It wasn't much by Blackwood standards, but it was enough to start. I rented a tiny studio apartment in Brooklyn and began working on my prototypes. During the day, I consulted for small organic farms, learning everything I could about practical agriculture. At night, I refined my hydroponic systems, developing new technologies that could dramatically increase crop yields while minimizing water usage. The first year was brutal. I ate ramen noodles, worked 18-hour days, and dealt with countless failures. My family had cut me off completely. Even my Christmas card was returned unopened. The only person who still spoke to me was my grandfather's old gardener, Mr. Santos, who had taught me about plants when I was a child. "Your grandfather would have understood," Mr. Santos told me one day when I visited him. "He wasn't always rich, you know. He built everything from nothing, just like you're doing now." Those words kept me going through the darkest days. My breakthrough came in the second year. I had developed a vertical hydroponic system that could grow the equivalent of 2 acres of crops in the space of a shipping container. The system used advanced AI to monitor plant health, adjust nutrient levels, and optimize growing conditions in real time. I called it the EcoStack. With my remaining savings and a small loan from a local credit union, I installed the first EcoStack system in an abandoned warehouse in Brooklyn. The results exceeded even my expectations. We were producing fresh, organic vegetables in the middle of winter, using minimal water and zero pesticides. Local restaurants started noticing. Orders began coming in. Small at first, then larger. Word spread about the warehouse farm producing the best vegetables in New York. I named my company Green Tech Farms. By the third year, we had expanded to 3 warehouses. My innovative growing systems were attracting attention from sustainability experts and environmental organizations. A feature at National Geographic called Green Tech Farms, the future of urban agriculture. Then came the turning point. A major tech investor visited our main facility and was amazed by what he saw. "This isn't just farming," he said, walking through rows of perfectly grown vegetables suspended in my hydroponic systems. "This is agricultural technology at its finest." 2 weeks later, Green Tech Farms received its first major investment, $25 million to expand our operations. I used the money carefully, scaling up our technology while developing new innovations. We created smaller versions of the eco-stack for restaurants wanting to grow their own ingredients. We developed specialized systems for different types of crops. Every development was patented, every innovation protected. The company grew faster than our crops. By the 4th year, Green Tech Farms had facilities in 12 cities. Our technology was being used by major restaurant chains, hotels, and even space research organizations studying food production for long-term space missions. I kept a low profile through it all. Despite our success, I stayed in my modest Brooklyn apartment. I drove a used hybrid car. The only luxury I allowed myself was buying the building where Mr. Santos lived, ensuring he would never have to worry about rent again. Then came the day that would change everything. I was in our main research facility, testing a new hydroponic system designed for arid environments when my assistant rushed in. "Mr. Blackwood," she said, her face urgent, "you need to see this." She handed me her tablet, displaying the morning's financial news. The headline made my heart stop. "Blackwood Investment Group faces bankruptcy amid massive agricultural investment losses." I quickly scanned the article. My family's company had invested heavily in traditional industrial farming operations, ignoring the growing shift towards sustainable agriculture. Now, with new environmental regulations and changing consumer preferences, those investments were turning toxic. "There's more," my assistant said, swiping to another article. "Your sister's firm is distancing itself from her." Apparently, she was the one who pushed for these investments. I set down the tablet, memories flooding back. All those times they had mocked my interest in sustainable farming, called it a foolish dream. Now their old-school approach to agriculture was destroying everything they had built. My phone buzzed, a number I hadn't seen in 5 years. "Mother." "Alexander." Her voice had lost its usual polish. "We need to talk." I agreed to meet them at my main facility rather than their penthouse. Let them come to my world this time. They arrived the next morning. Father, mother, and Olivia, all looking distinctly uncomfortable as they were led through our hyper-modern growing facilities. Their designer clothes seemed out of place among the vertical gardens and humming hydroponic systems. I met them in my office, a simple space with a wall of living plants and a view of our experimental growing area. No mahogany desk, no expensive art pieces, just clean functionality and thriving greenery. "Nice place," my mother managed, though I could tell the industrial setting disturbed her. My father got straight to the point. "We've had some setbacks. Your sister tells me your company has become quite successful in agricultural technology." Olivia, who had been examining my office with barely concealed disdain, snorted. "Successful is an understatement. Green Tech Farms is worth more than our entire agricultural portfolio now." I leaned back in my chair. "Yes, I know. $890 million at last valuation. We're expanding into Europe and Asia next month." The silence that followed was heavy with realization. The son they had disowned for being a simple farmer now ran a company worth nearly $1 billion. "Why didn't you tell us?" my mother asked softly. "Would it have mattered?" I replied. 5 years ago, you made it very clear that unless I followed your prescribed path, I wasn't part of the family." My father shifted uncomfortably. "We may have been hasty in our judgment." "Hasty?" I stood up and walked to the window. "You threw me out, cut me off completely. Didn't even bother to find out what I was building here." I pressed a button, and the blinds opened fully, revealing the vast expanse of our research facility. Acres of vertical farms stretched out before us. producing more food in this one building than a traditional farm 20 times its size. This is the future of agriculture, I said, gesturing to the view. While you were investing in industrial farming operations that destroy the soil and waste water, we were developing systems that can grow food anywhere, sustainably, with minimal environmental impact. Olivia stepped forward. That's actually why we're here. We need a bailout? I finished for her. You want me to rescue the family company from the crisis you created? She had the grace to look embarrassed. We're prepared to offer you a fair deal. Your company would absorb our agricultural division, and in return. No, the word came out sharp and final. No, my father's face reddened. You'd let your family's company collapse? I turned to face them fully. The Blackwood Investment Group isn't my family's company. You made that very clear 5 years ago. Green Tech Farms is my company, built without your money, your connections, or your support. But we're family, my mother pleaded. Family? I laughed softly. Family supports each other. Family believes in each other. Family doesn't disown someone for following their dreams. I walked to my desk and pressed the intercom. Sarah, please bring in the reports. My assistant entered with a stack of folders, distributing them to my stunned family members. These are detailed analyses of your agricultural investments, I explained. As you'll see, most of them are unsustainable, both environmentally and financially. However, I paused, letting the moment stretch. I'm willing to help. Their heads snapped up simultaneously. Not with a bailout, I continued. But I'll offer this. Green Tech Farms will selectively acquire the viable properties from your agricultural portfolio at fair market value. We'll transform them into sustainable operations using our technology. This will give you enough capital to restructure the rest of your business, provided you make some major changes. What kind of changes? My father asked worriedly. First, Olivia steps down from any involvement in agricultural investments. Second, you commit to environmental sustainability in all future investments. And third, I smiled slightly, you establish a foundation to support young entrepreneurs focusing on sustainable technologies, especially those whose families don't believe in their vision. My father started to protest, but Olivia cut him off. We accept. Everyone looked at her in surprise. He's right, she said quietly. We were wrong. All of us. We were so convinced we knew everything about success that we couldn't see the world changing around us. While we were clinging to the old ways, Alexander was building the future. My mother wiped away a tear. We're so sorry, Alexander. We should have believed in you. I'm not looking for apologies, I said firmly. I'm looking for change. Real change, not just words. Over the next 6 months, Green Tech Farms absorbed and transformed the viable parts of Blackwood's agricultural holdings. We converted failing industrial farms into state-of-the-art sustainable operations. The Blackwood Future Innovation Foundation was established, providing grants to young entrepreneurs focused on environmental solutions. My family's company survived, though significantly humbled. Olivia found a new path, eventually joining Green Tech's board as our sustainability compliance officer, after completing an extensive environmental science course, of course. Today, Green Tech Farms is valued at over $2 billion, with operations on 4 continents. We're leading the revolution in sustainable urban agriculture, proving that you can feed the world without destroying it. My father still struggles to understand why I keep my modest apartment in Brooklyn instead of moving to a penthouse. My mother has finally stopped sending me brochures for luxury cars. And Olivia, well, she recently started growing her own herbs in one of our home hydroponic units. Last week, I visited Mr. Santos in the building I'd bought for him. He was tending to his rooftop garden, which now features one of our smaller eco-stack systems. Your grandfather would be proud, he said, carefully pruning a tomato plant. Not just of your success, but of how you achieved it, by believing in yourself and your vision. I looked out over the city, where more and more rooftops are turning green with our hydroponic systems. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving your critics wrong, it's proving yourself right while making the world a better place. Yesterday, I received an invitation to speak at Harvard Business School. They want me to give a lecture on sustainable business innovation. I couldn't help but smile at the irony. I'm going to Harvard after all, just not in the way my family had planned. I'm having the lecture recorded and distributed to every aspiring entrepreneur who's been told their dreams are worthless. Because sometimes the simple farmer knows more about the future than all the Wall Street experts combined.